Hello you guys, welcome to part 2 of my magical realism recommendations. So the first book on this list is Expiration Dates. I rated this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So this book follows Daphne, who every time she meets a new man, goes on a first date, she receives a piece of paper that has an expiration date on it, saying the amount of time she'll, be with this man or, know this man for. And so finally on one blind date, which is what the book revolves around, she receives a paper that says something else on it. I don't want to say that because that'll just spoil basically the whole book. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, she receives a different kind of paper when she meets this one man. And yeah, really, really interesting, unique kind of plot. Really interesting. Next is You've Reached Sam. I read this book like 3 years ago or something, so I do not remember a lot of it, but I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. And I do remember this book is actually pretty sad. Like, I'm pretty sure I cried at least once actually while reading it. This book follows 17-year-old Julie, whose boyfriend Sam gets in a car crash and dies, and she calls his phone just to, hear his voicemail like over and over. She's calling him. One time he answers. We just get to see how, they get to talk for a little bit and just kind of, wondering what happens. When will she not be able to talk to him? Kind of like what is going on. It's more of a kind of supernatural thing than magical realism, I guess, kind of. But yeah. Next is Once and Again. Also, I've either read like audiobooks of these books or I just don't have them anymore, which is why I don't have them in this video. But this is Once and Again. I rated this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So this book follows Lauren and her family. So all of the women in Lauren's family, including herself, get one ticket in their life to undo something. And, they can use it on whatever, anytime throughout their whole life. And so we discover how, her mom and her grandmother have used their tickets, and we're just kind of, wondering when and how is she going to use hers. And this book is actually kind of sad too, like some things with just her family and, really thinking about what would you do if you had one chance to undo anything in your life, someone dying or, meeting someone. And this book is really good about just like exploring like kind of like what if. Yeah. And next I have Layla by Colleen Hoover, which I do have here. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. This book is also more, of a supernatural thing than magical realism, but I still kind of count it in that category. This book, if you have heard of it, does have a lot of controversy, specifically about the main male character. He is just kind of a douchebag and stuff, so a lot of controversy about him. But this is a good story, and I really like this book. It follows Leeds and his girlfriend Layla as they go to a bed and breakfast, a little getaway vacation. He becomes friends with another guest there, Willow, who, isn't who she seems. Everything kind of, like a little off with her. Kind of like spooky vibes a little bit throughout this book. Like I said, it is more like supernatural. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I thought it was just like pretty close to my name, so I wanted to read it. Then we have One Italian Summer. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. So this book follows Katie, whose mother, Carol, dies, and so Katie goes on a solo trip to the city that her mother and father met in. So she goes on this solo trip here, a little vacation, and it turns out, she's jumped universes or went back in time, or, well, I guess kind of both of those, and her mother is actually there. So, she just kind of watches her mother, you know, in this town, kind of, you know, just gets to talk to her again, gets to see her mother like young and, you know, happy and everything, and it's just really nice. I think this book is also kind of sad, but yeah, it is really, really good. Have right here is the 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. If you read books, you've probably seen this one. It's pretty popular. I rated this one 4 to 5 stars, and I actually got to meet Ashley Poston a couple years ago, which is really cool. So yeah. But anyways, this book follows Clementine, who is a publicist in New York, and she inherits her late aunt's apartment. So when she gets there, she realizes this apartment is magical, and she meets this man who, you know, has lived there in the past, and she learns about him, learns about her late aunt and her life. But it's really interesting because she didn't exactly, you know, travel in time like a lot of other magical realism books. Only in this apartment can she like travel 7 years in the past and stuff. But when she steps out of the apartment, you know, she's, you know, in her regular life, you know, going out in the city, whatever, you know. Yeah, really kind of a unique plot, just have like one specific area that is, you know, like a time slip, and so it's just, yeah, really cool. And that's all I have on this list. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about these books and your book recommendations, of course, and I'll see you next time.